back to my studio. This is Emma on another beautiful autumn day full of wind and rain and wildness. So I'm once again very happy to be snug in here with you guys. We can just shelter from the storm in here, don't you think? We've got plenty to be doing, plenty of things to be looking at, and it's very, very peaceful. The noise of the wind is outside. It's not in here. We're very peaceful in here. So I just wanted to say hello and thank you so much for all your subscribings. I'm getting loads more people coming and joining us here, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. I'm so delighted. I mean, I come in here every week and I just sit and fiddle about and tell you stuff, and more people are joining in with us, and I think that's just lovely. We're going to have a really good party here. A fabric party, a stitch party, an art party. Art party. Let's be the art party. Never mind all this politics, we'll just be the art party. So I'm so grateful that you're here, because you make this, you know, this gives me my raison d'etre at the moment, gives me really good focus, and my creativity. Honestly, it is helping me hugely, because you're acting as sort of my audience, because I live in the middle of nowhere, and I think, you know, with everything that's been going on, I don't go out that much, to be honest. Can you tell? No, I'm just very, very peaceful here, and that gives me space and time to do my artwork, and that's my most important thing at the moment. Apart from my family, of course, and, you know, general living stuff. So last week, you know, this is what we've created, this really random piece of brown fabric, brown thing. It's a brown thing at the moment. It's unfinished, whatever. Doesn't know quite where it's going, but it doesn't matter. It's going to just sit here quietly and be there. I love just looking at it. I love feeling it. I get a great deal of comfort, and I don't know why. I think it's the brownness. There's something about this that's just feeding me at the moment. As I said last week, I think it's the earthiness of it. So I was looking at my sketchbook, as you know, to start this project off, and I was, you know, gaily showing you these lovely fungi, these mushrooms, toadstools, whatever you want to call them. And, you know, I also showed you the very brown piece of fabric, the very brown piece that's sort of, I think that's kind of inspired this fabric. And I'm not sure fungi are going to be it. And I kind of thought, well, that's the thing about a sketchbook. When you've got a resource like this, whether it's something you've just stuck magazine pictures into, whether it's some kind of journal that you're doing, it's a start point, and it may not necessarily be your end point, but it can start the process off for you, so that you get out of the kind of, oh my goodness, I really want to make something, but I don't know what it's going to be, and I'm terrified, and you kind of freeze up, and the fear takes over, and you can't put a face to it, a name to it, what it is you're going to do. So I find if you just flick through something like this, it just helps you, and just start somewhere. It doesn't matter where you start anywhere. And just see where that takes you, because once you get out of the theory bit that kind of keeps you going, I don't know what to do, anything can happen. Anything can happen. You just get your fabrics out and you start fiddling about, and things can happen. So really, I think what this is actually inspiring me, not so much, yes, the stitching, I really love that brown stitching. Yes, I do love it as an image. I think it's beautiful, and it's got lots to offer me, but it's actually the background I'm kind of looking at today. I'm looking at how sort of splodgy it is. There's different colours going on, and in fact the whole sketchbook was like that. It was very loose, and all the pages had lots of different colours going on, and I'm just wondering whether that's going to be the next thing to do in some fashion. I'm just wondering whether what we do is we'll start again with some fabric, like I started this piece, and you know, we'll perhaps use some other colours. So I've got myself a box of fabrics out, which I will show you, and we'll just start cutting fabrics up in our usual fashion, and let's see where it takes us. It's so exciting, isn't it? When you don't know where you're going, you know, there's no sat nav for this, guys. It's just like, oh, what, you know, what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? How would this look if I put this with it? How would it feel if I put that with it? You know how it works by now. So thanks for joining me. Let's see where this journey is going to take us, where the adventure is going to lead us this time. Here we go. This is my brown piece, and what I've done just for now is I've cut a couple of, or at least I've torn, I should say, in my favourite fashion, I've torn a couple of pieces of calico. Well, you do get all these lovely ends off it, I have to say. I keep these in a jar, you know. So this is my jar into which I put all of these little bits. These are all ripped off bits of calico, and they make them the most lovely threads. So I've got them in there with various other bits and bobs, but isn't that nice? This is a lovely thing to keep, even if it's just for looking at, but I may use those under my embellisher at some point. They're awfully useful. So as I say, I've torn a couple of these bits because I don't know whether I want to make another long piece or whether it's going to be a short piece or whether it's going to be something that goes like that underneath, attached to it, something separate from it, if this is going to be manipulated in some way. As I say, the jury's out at the moment on this one. So I got this lovely box of fabrics out with all of these sort of slightly lighter colours, and there's some gorgeous textures here. And I'm feeling like whatever comes next almost needs to be a contrast to this and needs to be really, really textured. So I think this is where my embellisher will come into its own. But I also kind of want to use these lighter colours. As I say, in the sketchbook, which I shall just show you. So as I was trying to tell you in the introduction, in the sketchbook that I've got, that I created, there's a lot of sort of mixed pages going on with lots of lovely delicate colours, and you could be, you know, focusing in on particular bits and feeling that. And I've just got this fabric, weirdly enough, that sort of brings these sort of autumn colours in a very random way. And I just wonder whether some of that might come in as a sort of a feeling. As I was saying about this page, there's lots of different things going on, just very subtle changes of colours, little splodges, little marks, and I thought, well, perhaps that's the way it's going to go, and that will help make it interesting and exciting surface to contrast with this very dark sort of, quite a plain surface here. So various things going on, and I was kind of playing around with the idea that it could be kind of landscapey, kind of earthy. I don't think I want to overthink it too much. I want to just kind of throw some pieces of fabric under the embellishing machine, as it were, through it to my embellisher, and just see what's going to come out of it. Get some textures in there, maybe get some lace. This is not a very well cut piece of lace. Let's see if we can chop that down a little bit with my scissors. I'm just cutting very roughly at the moment because I genuinely don't know where it's going, but I think you have to just start. Just start, even if what you start with becomes absolutely not what you end up with. Just the process of starting can help hugely, I think, because obviously if you don't start, nothing can happen. See, you've got some gorgeous colours going on here. Actually, this is a very random box of stuff, but I quite like the way it's contrasting with, that's a bit of a random piece, but it's okay. I'm not sure about the pink, but one never knows. I don't reject anything out of hand. We'll see. I would quite like to get some of this into the mix somewhere. This is my lovely, oh, it's all stuck in the box here. Once this gets out, it takes over the world. Just snip a bit of this off here. Goes everywhere, this stuff, but it's so useful. So many things you can do with a piece of shrug, other than just wearing it, of course. You see, it's already adding texture, which is kind of what I'm after, I think. And some of this stuff, this is lovely. This is, I don't know, somebody's shirt. Oops. Let's just see if I can just chop a bit off. See, I've got this lovely stuff as well, which is, it's really nice because it's lacy, but it's also, it's not flat and smooth. It's got coggly bits going on with it. And if you can manage not to get the pattern showing, if you like, this is where your embellish can come in, is you can start to sort of, well, you don't want a lace that's got an obvious pattern, is what I'm trying to say, I think. So you see, you start to get things going on. You start to get a conversation going. I think that's what I'm sort of moving towards saying. It's a conversation, and it's a conversation between this piece and whatever's going to go on into this piece. And whether we end up with something extra on top of this that brings the two together, whether they stay separate, whether they join up at some point, I don't know. It's all up for grabs, this. But what I'm enjoying is the way these pieces of fabric are starting to have a conversation with each other. And there's no right way and there's no wrong way to be doing this. This is very much what your eye sees, what your eye appreciates. Sorry, I'm just pulling things out of the box here. Look at this. I've got the box next to me and I'm just sort of randomly pulling bits out. So actually I'd have that way, so we've got raggy edges. Let's have raggy edges. And there's bits of this. There's bits of this. This is just very random. This is not how I would necessarily cut the pieces. Okay, but I'm just trying to get things moving. I'm just trying to get things moving. If you're static and you worry too much about it, I always think challenge yourself, you know, take that risk, push the boundary, you know, put the thing that's unexpected into the mix, put the colours that are unexpected next to each other and just see what happens. So although that's that size, I don't know whether it's going to be twice that size and be a companion piece to this. We could actually have two really lovely long pieces hanging on the wall, couldn't we? That could be very nice, or as I showed you before, it could become books, or it could become sort of scrolls. But what I'm enjoying is how that is bringing some life to this, if you like, because this is so sober and simple. I'm appreciating all the textures here and the different colour shades that are coming in. So I think the best thing is I'm going to play around with this a little bit more and get it to a place where I can show you really and truly what I'm going to do with it, because at the moment it's a little bit, oh, I don't quite know. So time to play around a little bit more. As I say, it's all about the playing. Okay, so the first thing I have done, this is my biggest choice so far, is I have made a nice long piece of calico again. And it's the same size as the brown piece, so they match in size. And I don't know how it's going to end up, but this is just a start point. I had to make a decision. I had to make a choice. I had to commit to something. So I've got this nice long piece now to play with. And what I'm going to do is just start cutting up some fabrics like this. Obviously, because I'm going to do my embellishing with it, I know things are going to scrunch up when I embellish them, so whatever size I choose, it's likely to get smaller. Obviously you could do a little mini sample if you want to see just how small things are going to go. Otherwise it's very much a case of, well, just try it and see what happens. And if you don't like it, or you need a bigger piece, you can always add more on top, because that's the beautiful thing about embellishing, is it's not committing to one thing, because unlike stitching, which you'd have to undo if you've got something that you don't like, the embellishing means you just pull it off and you start again. So I'm just going to kind of cut some longish strips and start playing. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, I don't know exactly where it's going, but I know I want these sort of a linear piece this is, I think, for want of a different word. I think that just means long and thin, as opposed to short and fat. And, you know, as you know from, if you've watched my videos for a while, this is what I like to do. I just kind of just start playing. And when you put one thing next to another, one shape next to another, it can sort of inspire what comes next. And I will probably just start with some simple basic shapes like this, get them embellished down, and then I'm just going to keep adding. I really want this to be a sort of a fun process and a sort of not me thinking about it too much sort of process. I want to just kind of put the fabrics down, get them down, and I want it to be textured and not flat, so I'll have to bear that in mind. So we'll see how it goes. So this is a lovely top. It's absolutely beautiful. You can see it's got some lovely decoration on here, some sequins, which I shall chop off. It's very coggly because it's been in my box for a while, and I have very recklessly, which is unusual for me, anybody who's been watching for a while, I don't generally iron things, but I did try and smooth out most of these pieces so that I can actually, because I'm cutting long thin pieces, I kind of thought, oh, I better iron it a little bit. So I did it very gently, because one of the things about ironing these kinds of fabrics I find, I don't know if you found the same thing, but the colour kind of changes if you iron them with too hot an iron, and I don't want the colours to change, and I don't know whether that colour comes back or whether it's kind of a heat reaction that's permanent. So I kind of don't iron generally, but as I say, I know I'm going to embellish it, but that's too coggly even for me. So, and then I do want some dark brown in the mix. And I've got this. This is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know what it is. This is actual fabric that I've purchased from somewhere. Probably from a knitting and stitching show, I suspect. On one of my many visits. Anybody else has been out to the knitting and stitching show in the UK? You know what I'm talking about. It's an absolutely wonderful thing to go to. And you come back with far too many fabrics and far too many bags of goodies. But you come back very inspired, I have to say. I haven't been for ages. I don't know whether you've been recently, but I haven't been for years actually. I kind of stopped going, I don't know why. But one day maybe I will get back. One day. Right. The other thing I've got here is this really nice, it's a dyed scarf. It's a printed scarf or dyed or whatever. I don't know if you can see, it's got a really nice pattern on it. It's got lots of different colours. It's beautifully printed and it's perfect colours for what I'm doing. But what I'm enjoying is it's got lots of marks on it, like in my book, like my sketchbook has. So I'm not wanting to use these in a deliberate way. I don't want to go, oh, that's a lovely shape, I'm going to put that there. I'm just cutting up the fabric and then letting whatever marks are on that piece of fabric, just letting them come up to the surface, if you like, and just adding them in. So I've got this piece here, which is really pretty. It's got these lovely marks on here, and obviously when it's scrunched up a bit with the machine, it'll change how it looks, but you know, I might capture an essence of some of these lovely colours and prints. Just makes it a bit more interesting, I think, for this one. They're quite subtle. If they were really very sort of deliberate and very obvious, I wouldn't use it, but because they're kind of soft and gentle and the colours are just perfect for what I'm doing, that's just grand. So it is grand.
Ba ba da ba da ba da ba ba.